Hi, everyone. This is Tim Melvin of the Tim Melvin Deep Value Letter and the Banking on Profits newsletter, coming to you from down here in Central Florida, where it has finally warmed back up into the 80s, so I won't have to go looking for my hoodie and jacket in order to walk the dog this evening. We had a wild week in the stock market. We opened on Monday with doom and gloom and lower oil prices bringing the market down around our heads. And then on Wednesday, Santa Janet came rolling into town with some special language that really pleased the stock market. They said that they could be patient in raising interest rates, which was consistent with their considerable period of time for low rates that they use in previous letters. And the market really liked that. We got 700 Dow points in just 2 days. Finished the week off up 2.8%. Nice, solid week for stocks in a week that looked like it was going to be something much less favorable for investors. The All World URTH index was up 1.91%, but once again, leading the way this week were our small community banks with the QABA ETF of small bank stocks up 3.29% on the week. Now, we're getting into that time now. It's a couple days before Christmas, not too much longer to the new year, less than 10 days now. And it's time for everybody's market predictions. And man, they're rolling out fast and furious. The bulls think it's going to go up, the bears think it's going to go down. Everybody's got highly confident predictions on where markets and interest rates and oil and everything else is going to go. I'm here to tell you that I have absolutely no clue where prices of anything will go next year. That's my prediction. My guaranteed to be true prediction for 2015 is that the stock market is going to open at most days about 9:30, and most days during the year it's going to close about 4:30, and in between those periods of time markets will in fact fluctuate. That's all I know for certain about stock prices next year. We're reasonably confident we're going to see some small bank takeovers. We'll see what other opportunities might be created by falling prices and inventory creation in 2015. But I have no idea what the stock market's going to do. And I do not truly believe that anybody else does either. It's simply a guess. Some guesses are better educated than others, but it's still just a guess. Now, as we look back over the year, certainly the most disappointing thing for me as a value investor has been, let's call it what it is, carnage in the energy and materials stocks that we bought earlier this year. Many of them have sold off quite dramatically. Now, fortunately, for the most part, they've been upset by strong gains in some of our other stocks. And we're going to be about flat with dividends in the deep value portfolio this year. Not quite what I wanted, but we'll take it given the fact that we have some huge losses in the energy and materials names. And we did learn some lessons from this. We learned that the credit and fundamental model is pretty good. It works at finding stocks that have safety in the balance sheets. But if you don't stress test it for horrid, worst case, almost unthinkable commodity price scenarios, you're going to have some stocks slip away from you. That's exactly what happened to us this year. Now, once oil prices started getting pretty serious about coming down in late November going into December, we stepped back. By we, I mean I. The dog did not participate in this project. And we ran some disaster scenarios, sustained below $60, sustained below $50 oil prices. And we found that under that, a couple of the stocks in the portfolio, those that, unfortunately were the biggest losers, they wouldn't make it. Okay, there's a real chance that they just go away if we have that sustained period of prices. Now, having said that, if you take pricing back up to $70 a barrel, they recover fully and could possibly continue to move higher, if not much higher. We're only about a year to a year and a half into my average 5-year holding period here, folks, so it's been bad. It could get better. Now, those stocks that failed the stress test, we didn't sell them. Okay, I wanted to keep them in the portfolio. We are still very early in the timeline. I think oil demand does go up, maybe even as a result of lower prices sometime over the next few years. So these stocks still have some upside potential, but they've gotten quite a bit riskier. We're holding them in the portfolio for the long term, but I am not going to add to those positions because of the elevated financial risk that we found when I stress tested these things. So now we did have a few in the portfolio, both deep value and international deep value, that passed with flying colors. We doubled down on those, and a couple other stocks that passed the stress test, also tumbled in price in early December as a result of falling oil prices. Picked those up, and I got to tell you, we have some pretty nifty gains in those so far. So those that have passed the stress test have actually moved a bit higher, even as oil prices have continued to weaken. So I have a lot of faith and confidence in those energy stocks going into 2015. The riskier ones we're just going to hold. If they pass that stress test, then it's almost an end of the world scenario for the oil and gas industry. I think they'll still be not only cheap enough, but safe enough to hold for our long-term time frame. So anyway, this year, I mean, the hot spot this year is community banks have been just absolutely wonderful for us. We've been involved in, I believe it's 7 takeovers in the combination of the banking on profits and 10 tiny banks portfolios, and the average gain on that has been north of 40%. Now, I had several other banks in portfolios that I oversee that I bought in 2011, 2012. We had 3 more takeovers in there, and the compound average annual return of those stocks over the last 2 to 3 years has been north of 35%. So I really can't be too terribly unhappy about that. Now, I'm going to tell you, I have 2 picks on Monday. For those of you that are not already banking on profits subscribers, if you're thinking about it, you're on the fence, this is kind of the time to go to the MarketFi site and sign up, because I've got 2 great picks. One is definitely going right into the portfolio. It's, classic, perfect bank, a little bit of activist involvement. The other one, I'm on the fence. I haven't decided yet. This thing's very, very small. I mean, it's got a tiny market cap. I can't guarantee that everybody's going to get shares of this thing, so probably going to put that out as a bonus pick with a really strong suggestion that you use a limit order. Okay, community banks have been great. I think that we're just in the very early stages of this, and this goes on into 2015 and well beyond. When I look at the portfolio headlines for our community bank stocks, what I'm seeing right now is stronger loan demand, strong earnings growth, dividend increases, new stock buyback programs being announced as these banks are buying back stock under 85% of book value, and under 1 times book value for those that have moved up out of our buy range. It's just going to get better from here, guys. I've seen a couple of 13D and 13F filings in the sector in the last few weeks for banks that merit closer attention. I sent the buy list out yesterday afternoon. We had 28 banks on the buy list this week that are trading below 85% of tangible book value, have great balance sheets, strong loan portfolios. Most of them have 1 or more activist investors involved in the stock. So there's plenty of opportunity in the community banks as we go into 2015, and I expect an absolutely spectacular year from those stocks. Now, in the rest of the portfolio, look, we've got lots of cash. Lots of little banks. There's not a lot to buy. I keep saying that, but yesterday I was doing an article for realmoney.com, and as part of a strategy that I was trying to develop in the piece, I ran my perfect stock screen. Now, those are stocks that trade below book value, are profitable, pay dividends, have low debt to equity ratios and high current ratios. It's a pretty strict screen, but you can normally get 25 to 30 names, and in a really bad market, you might get 60 to 70. I got 5. There's just not a lot of safe and cheap stocks out there. Worth noting that 3 of those stocks that we found on the screen are oil services companies. So most of the bargain creation is in the oil and gas industry. The other one was a company that's in the steel business, but does a lot of business with the oil and gas industry. So most of what's cheap and safe right now is related to oil as a result of that continuing decline in the price of oil. No idea where that's going, but I'm pretty sure that over the next decade, the prices will move higher, and these companies have the financial wherewithal at this point in time that I can say with a great deal of confidence that they'll be here and participate in whatever eventual energy rally happens. Now, this is going to be the last video of 2014. As you know, Christmas is Thursday. My daughter's flying in from Maryland with her fiance on Wednesday, and of course my son's down here in Orlando now, so he'll be around the house quite a bit during the week. And I only get to spend time with the whole family a couple of times a year anymore because she's just too stubborn to leave the frozen north and move to Florida, where I'll eventually get her here, but they're resisting right now. We'll Just have to keep working on that. So we won't be doing a video next week, and the next week video that you will get will be in 2015, and we'll see how the year plays out. But I'm pretty excited. We've got some safe and cheap stocks. We've got some great community banks, and I think it's going to be a banner year in 2015 for all of our value and bank stock portfolios. Anyway, guys, the wife's cooking in the kitchen. She's getting stuff ready for our holiday party Wednesday night. Not sure what she's up to out there. She's making cookies and candy and all sorts of stuff, but it smells pretty good. So I'm going to sneak off now and steal some of whatever she's creating when she's not looking. Have a great holiday season, and I'll talk to you guys next year.